Look, I know this is difficult to understand at your age, but tonight allows people a release for all the hatred and violence and aggression that they keep up inside them. Okay? And yes, if your mother and I were so inclined, we would participate because it works. You don't remember how bad it was, Charlie. The poverty, all the crime. This night saved our country.
So one of the things that got me excited about the movie was the actual premise of how a futuristic America, there's one night you're able to kill and get away with it. That's one of the main appeals that drew me to the movie.
Well, first of all, I'm not a big horror fan. It's just not my genre, but I thought the premise of it was really unique and cool.
I thought was actually kind of a brilliant twist to this genre because it gives a reason why this family can't call for help. They can't use their phones. They can't just run outside the house because everyone is looking for a night to kill. So I thought it was a brilliant way to keep this family inside the house secluded and a believable way for the audience.
So I thought the concept going into it was going to be really unique, really interesting, and I was hoping that I wouldn't expect what was to come because I've never seen anything with that story to it.
The story of, you know, a night of killing isn't an original idea. Actually, there is an old Star Trek episode from the original series. I believe it's called The Return to Archons. And in that episode, Kirk and his crew actually investigate a planet where the inhabitants all seemingly are very polite and it's a utopia society. However, there is what they call the festival, where for 12 hours every night they're lawless and they're able to kill and all this other stuff too. So basically this movie did kind of borrow from that Star Trek episode and brought it into the horror genre.
I'm not a Star Trek fan. I saw Into Darkness, that was okay. But no, I never saw any Star Trek episode about this.
Okay, so the premise of The Purge, it takes place in the year 2022. Pretty catchy, huh? And
the government has decided to do something called the Purge, which is one night in the year, you're allowed, all crime is fair game. You can do whatever you want. Every other day is utopia, bliss, Pleasantville, you know, Stepford Wives kind of thing.
Now, the movie follows a family, an upper-class family, that supports this law, however, they don't participate in it. So they basically, every year during this time, they lock themselves in this house and just ride it out. However, on this particular purge, Ethan Hawke's kid, for some odd reason, sees a stranger out in the streets and he's badly wounded asking for help. And the dumbass that he is, not knowing who this guy is or if it's a trick just to get in the house or anything, just goes, okay, I'm gonna let this stranger into the house.
First of all, Ethan Hawke, as much as I liked him, he should not have given his code to the kid. He should have kept it himself. Why give it to the kid? That makes no sense. If you're all trapped in the house, there's no reason to give it to him.
So he lets him into the house, you know, and the whole family's like, what the fuck are you doing? And it turns out that he was being pursued by, you know, killers. And the killers are waiting outside the house, and they tell the family that either give up this guy or we will go inside and kill you all. And that's basically the entire movie in a nutshell.
We can enter any home we want, and we will want. Don't force us to hurt you. We don't want to kill our own. Please just let us purge.
You know, it does bring up an interesting point where it's like, if you were in this situation, you know, you'd be debating these issues too. You know, do I kill? Do I become the monsters that are outside to survive, or do I make a stand? You know, but let's be honest, you would kill. You know, you would throw the bum out.
I kept wondering, because Ethan Hawke goes up to talk to the bad guy at one point, and he's like, we're looking for him, my son let him in. He explains the situation. But this is after they cut off the power to the house, so I would have said, listen, you turn off our lights, we can't find him. Turn on the lights and we can find him a little easier. I have one flashlight, please. So that was stupid too.
But inside the house, everyone gets lost in this house and no one can find anyone. And people are firing automatic machine guns and no one hears it. How big is this house? I just don't understand it.
This house is probably where they filmed Labyrinth, because it's about the same size, and the corridors are super long and lead to everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And even on top of that, there's hidden spaces within the house too, so it's even bigger on the inside. It's like a TARDIS.
And the worst part of it all is, with this family being so stupid, you start rooting for the bad guys. Now, I know in movies, like, it's kind of wrong that you should root for, you know, a story you should be invested into the heroes, you know, the good guys. You know, in slasher movies, you know, it's kind of reversed because these characters are so stupid. You start rooting for Jason and Freddy Krueger and everything. And that's why those movies work, because you have at least someone to root for. In this movie, they were developing the bad guys to root for because you just want to see a bloody mess. So, okay, that's fine. But the problem is, as soon as they get into the house, you find out they're even more retarded than the family is.
I felt like the bad guys themselves were just a bunch of hippies. Like, they were barefoot and swinging around on swings and just kind of dancing and piggyback riding and things. Honestly, once they got into the house, they were not threatening at all.
Now, the trailers lied to me in this, because in the trailers, there is no mention of Platinum Dunes or Michael Bay whatsoever.
And then Platinum Dunes shows up, and I'm like, oh my god, and I turned to the person I saw the movie with, and I was like, oh my god, that's a Michael Bay produced this. And she was like, what are you talking about? Platinum Dunes, Michael Bay.
But no, I had no idea that douchebag Michael Bay had his hands in this movie, so I was completely shocked and did not know that it was going to be this type of horror movie.
You know, like I said before, I'm not a huge horror fan, so I don't have such high expectations. I pretty much, and this is probably going to piss off a lot of horror fans, but I pretty much go into a horror film expecting it to be really stupid and dumb, and I'm just looking for things that entertain me within it. Mainly the kills or the villain or things like that. So it did have a couple things that I liked. I liked Ethan Hawke in it. I liked the main villain. Some of the kills were kind of entertaining, even though it was all gunshots, which, gunshots in a horror film, not that, you know. You want more slicing and more intimate affair with that. Guns are just a little too impersonal, but I thought the way that Ethan Hawke played it off was very, very good, and you really do get the sense that this man will stop at nothing to defend his family. So it had some aspects I liked, so I'm not going to be that harsh on it. I'd probably give it a C- at best. I really don't think it lived up to the hype. I think the trailers kind of misled us a little bit, but overall it was okay. I had a couple things. I don't recommend people seeing it, but me personally, I'd give it a C-.
My final verdict for the movie, it is unsuspenseful, it is so cliche, there are no scares, and it is not disturbing, which a home invasion movie needs to be. A home invasion movie like The Strangers or Funny Games, you know, those are really gripping, suspenseful, very disturbing movies. You know, and one of the things about home invasion movies, and you know, I think why there's a draw to them, is because when you break down a home invasion movie, it's all about, you know, the outside world crashing into the four walls you've built in your life type of thing. You know, when you think everything is good, everything is going well in your life, you know, there's always an evil outside. There's always, you know, some aspect of society that will always come and kick you in the ass. And I think that's what the appeal of home invasion movies are. And this whole premise with the Purge, you know, they could have tied that in really well on, like, this is, you know, the outside world of society, you know, this is not the way we want it to be, and it's coming crashing into your own house. But the problem with that is they didn't develop the story of the Purge. So, you know, this outside force that's coming inside your house, it's unbelievable because they didn't develop a story behind it. You want to know, is this because it's just an excuse to kill the poor off, you know, and it's just a rich man's fantasy type of thing, you know, or is this, you know, is this a statement about government and the way we're going, and especially with the debate on what, you know, with guns and violence, especially, you know, school shootings and everything. This film could have made a really bold statement about that, but it just failed in that. And in regards to the characters, they are complete retards. You cannot invest in them. Not even the villain, which is someone I usually invest in horror movies. I couldn't even invest in the villains, so they're completely worthless. And this house is just unbelievably big. And I mean unbelievably and unbelievably. You will not believe this house that if the movie takes place in. So for a final verdict, I am giving it a D-. It's just a failure. Good job, Michael Bay.